Joining NBA Today, the aforementioned Kelsey Mitchell. Congrats on your congrats on your 34-point performance. What did you have working there in Game 1 for you?
I think it was just about having confidence, for one, leaning on my preparation, and then my teammates, our chemistry, everything we've been through this season, kind of put us in position to really.
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken out, and she didn't hold back when it came to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The cameras caught every word, and fans can't stop buzzing about it. Was it respect? Rivalry? Or just the most brutally honest take we've heard from a teammate in years? You be the judge. Here's something to think about. Has Caitlin Clark truly changed the game of basketball? Share your thoughts below. Let's be real, anytime a Fever player steps up to the MIC, you already know what's coming. No matter the topic, whether it's the weather, last night's dinner, or traffic on the way to the arena, the conversation always circles back to Caitlin Clark. And this time, all eyes were on Kelsey Mitchell.
You bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball, and as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make it.
This is the very same Kelsey Mitchell who carried the franchise through its darkest years. The same player who suited up when Indiana scraped together just 5 wins in an entire season. Yes, 5. You could count them on one hand and still have fingers left over. That's what she endured. That's the burden she shouldered while the rest of the league treated the Fever like little more than a warm-up game.
Favorite for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor, and so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team.
So when Kelsey Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, you knew it wasn't going to be some recycled cliche. This wasn't the usual "she's great, she's helping the team" type of response. No, this was raw, it was real. And what did she say? Exactly what fans have been thinking, but few have said out loud. Caitlin Clark hasn't just lifted the Fever, she's transformed basketball itself. Mitchell laid it out plainly. Clark reshaped the game, changed the culture, and shifted the entire landscape. That's not small talk. That's one of Indiana's cornerstone leaders looking straight into the camera and essentially admitting that without Caitlin Clark, none of this happens. And the most striking part? There wasn't a trace of jealousy in her tone. No side remarks, no hidden shade, just genuine respect.
What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB, and so you culminate that together with my experience and having to go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was still at a young age to really vibe and get to know these players for who they were, and then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball, and as a friend and as a player, you better appreciate her because certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever.
And you have to respect that. But don't mistake it, Kelsey Mitchell hasn't forgotten her own worth. She made it clear she's been here through the grind, carrying the rebuild and swallowing loss after loss long before Caitlin Clark ever arrived. And she's right. Without Mitchell's scoring and steady presence, Clark wouldn't even have the stage she stands on today. What so many overlook is that Mitchell is one of the most underappreciated scorers in the entire league. She doesn't get the national spotlight, but she's been the backbone keeping Indiana alive. Think back to when Lexi Hull joined, the Fever were still awful, their record closer to a punchline than a point of pride. Mitchell sat through press conferences, forcing a smile while trying to sell 5 wins as progress. Then came Aliyah Boston. Then Caitlin Clark. Slowly, the foundation shifted. And through it all, Mitchell adapted. She never pouted, never demanded a trade, never complained. Instead, she embraced the change, and found a way to make it work.
God forbid Asia doesn't drop 40 for us. I thought it was really poor. Really poor.
Kelsey Mitchell, what about the way she was playing today made it so difficult?
Well, one, she made every freaking shot, it seemed like. Long twos, short twos, threes, get the free throw line.
That's why Kelsey Mitchell's words actually matter. When she says Caitlin Clark changed the game, it isn't hype, it's a veteran speaking truth. Mitchell has lived through both versions of the fever, the embarrassment and the revival. And she knows exactly which version fills arenas, lands TV deals, and puts money in everyone's pocket. But here's the part that hit even harder. Mitchell didn't just call Clark a teammate, she called her a friend. She praised Clark for embracing the team, carrying the spotlight with grace, and making sure the success never felt like a one-woman show. That's huge, because we've all seen what happens in other leagues when superstars act like divas, they make life miserable for everyone around them. Clark didn't do that. She shared the shine, and as a result, Mitchell is thriving. Her game is finally on full display, fueling a playoff push and earning the recognition she's deserved for years. The irony. Clark's arrival forced the league and media to finally pay attention to Indiana. Without her, Mitchell might still be quietly dropping 25 a night in near silence. With her, the spotlight is brighter, and Mitchell knows it. That's why the respect is real, and then came the twist no one saw coming. Mitchell even addressed Clark's viral, "fine" tweet. Remember when Clark cracked that joke and the internet exploded? Outsiders debated whether it was reckless or disrespectful. But inside the Fever locker room, they were laughing. Mitchell explained they loved it because it showed Clark's sense of humor, a side the public rarely sees. That's the difference between critics and teammates. Outsiders dissect every word. Teammates see the person behind the player. Mitchell basically told the world, relax, it's just Caitlin being Caitlin. And that's the ultimate proof the locker room is tight. If Clark weren't respected, that tweet would have turned into drama. Instead, it became an inside joke.
We're an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now, and just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships, and now you get to see.
And that brings us to the bigger picture, the core four: Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. That's the foundation Indiana is building around, and from the way Mitchell talked, it sounds untouchable. She even hinted she'd be willing to take less money just to keep this group intact. Think about that, one of the league's top scorers considering a pay cut for the sake of chemistry. That doesn't happen often in pro sports. It's rare. But Mitchell sees the vision, she knows the Fever are sitting on something special. This isn't just about sneaking into the playoffs anymore. It's about building a legacy, a brand, and rewriting the league's balance of power. For years, Indiana was the punchline. Now, they are the headline. The idea of the Fever reaching the finals fueled by chemistry and connection might sound cliché, but it's real. Mitchell buys into it. Clark energizes it. Boston anchors it. Hull hustles through it. Together, they've turned Indiana from a bottom feeder into a legitimate contender, and everyone knows next season could be even more dangerous. Now here's why Mitchell's words hit fans so hard. She didn't just compliment Caitlin Clark, she acknowledged the doors Clark has opened. The sponsorships, the media coverage, the packed arenas, it's all tied to her presence. That kind of honesty is rare. Most players avoid saying it out of pride. Mitchell embraced it. But she also made one thing clear: Clark's success doesn't erase what her teammates bring. And Mitchell knows Clark is smart enough to recognize that WNBA honors don't happen without Mitchell. Those playoff wins don't happen without Boston. And Hull's defense? It's essential. This isn't a one-woman show, it's a partnership. That's what makes this Fever team different. Look at the aces. It's the AJA Wilson show. Take her out, and the whole system wobbles. Indiana? A completely different story. Take Caitlin Clark out, and Kelsey Mitchell can still hang 30 on you. Take Mitchell out, and Aliyah Boston goes full beast mode. take Boston out, and Lexi Hull locks down whoever dares come near. It's balance. It's depth. And it's why Indiana suddenly terrifies opponents who once assumed another championship run would be easy. But here's the part you can't overlook, the subtle edge in Mitchell's words. She didn't throw punches, but when she talked about rebuilds, draft picks, and all those lost seasons, that wasn't filler. That was a reminder, she was here first. She endured the losses. She survived being overlooked by the league and ignored by the media. She carried the weight when no one else wanted to. It was her way of saying, don't erase me from this story. And she's right. Without Mitchell, the Fever don't last long enough to draft Boston, let alone Clark. Fans love the shiny new superstar, but Mitchell is the one who kept the franchise from completely collapsing. That's not bitterness. That's truth. She deserves her flowers every bit as much as anyone else on this roster, and that's what makes this dynamic so compelling. On one hand, you've got Clark, the global game changer, pulling record ratings and national headlines. On the other, you've got Mitchell, the steady star who kept the lights on when Indiana was the league's punchline. Individually, they'd still be great. Together, they are historic. That balance was the heartbeat of Mitchell's message, and fans loved it. Clips of her interview spread across social media within minutes, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. People called her classy, genuine, refreshingly real. No jealousy. No bitterness. Just honesty. For Fever fans, it hit even harder. Her words shut down the tired narrative that Mitchell and Clark can't coexist. Everyone expected drama. Instead, they got respect. And honestly, Mitchell played it brilliantly. By giving Clark her flowers while also spotlighting her own role, she elevated the value of the entire team. She made one thing crystal clear: this isn't Caitlin Clark and the Fever. This is the Fever, a squad stacked with stars who all matter. That kind of messaging is how dynasties are built. And let's be real, the Fever are starting to look like they're heading in that direction. Nobody thought the turnaround would happen this fast. Just a few seasons ago, Indiana was the game every opponent circled as an easy win. Now, teams circle them with dread. The Fever don't just win games, they expose weaknesses. They play tough, unselfish basketball. And if you're not locked in for all 4 quarters, they'll embarrass you. That's how they crushed Atlanta. That's how they punched Las Vegas in the mouth. And that's how they've stunned the entire league. Mitchell knows it. Clark knows it. Boston knows it. Hull knows it. That's why Mitchell brought up the court. You don't hear players casually hinting at taking pay cuts just to keep a group together, unless they believe in something bigger than themselves. That's how you know this team is special. This isn't just about the next game. This is about rewriting the history of the franchise, and then there's the growth. Mitchell lived through the grind. She wasted her early years on losing teams, with teammates who weren't ready, coaches who couldn't figure it out, and losses piling up like junk mail. That could have broken her. But it didn't. It made her sharper. So when Clark arrived, Mitchell wasn't looking to clash with another star, she was ready to link up with one. That's maturity. And Clark? She's no fool either. Mitchell made it clear, Clark knows she doesn't make the first team without Mitchell spacing the floor, knocking down shots, and pulling defenders. She knows playoff runs don't happen without Boston holding down the paint. She knows Hull's defense is critical. Clark is smart enough to embrace that reality instead of fighting it. And that's exactly why this team works. Compare that to other franchises where egos clash, chemistry crumbles, and hype outweighs results. You've seen it, superstars butting heads, teams collapsing under their own weight. The Fever are the opposite. Mitchell's interview proved it. She respects Clark, and the whole squad thrives because of it. Clark respects her, too. And both of them know Boston and Hull are just as vital. That's balance. That's trust. And it's exactly why Indiana looks so dangerous when the pressure is on. Now, let's rewind to that fine tweet, because it says a lot about this team's chemistry. Clark cracked a joke, outsiders lost their minds, and the Fever locker room just laughed. Mitchell even called Clark's sense of humor unbelievable. That's something fans don't always see. Clark isn't just a competitor, she's a glue piece in the locker room. She lightens the mood, cracks jokes, and makes the grind easier for everyone. That's leadership in its purest form. The public usually notices the highlights, the buckets, and the drama. Mitchell notices the laughter, the smiles, the little human moments. That's why she respects Clark so deeply. That's why she calls her a friend. You can't fake that kind of bond, but Mitchell's message went further. She made it clear, the Fever's story is just beginning. Even if this year ends short of a championship, the foundation is set for the future. Picture Boston with another year of dominance under her belt. Picture Hull sharpening her defense even more. Picture Clark, more seasoned and composed, entering year 3. And through it all, Mitchell still doing what she does best, scoring, leading, holding it all together. That's not just exciting. That's a nightmare for the rest of the league. And the Fever know it. Mitchell even hinted this core group is staying intact. Add a piece or two, run it back, and build the dynasty the right way, not by chasing every flashy free agent, but by doubling down on what already works. So when Mitchell talks about friendship, don't dismiss it as cheesy. That bond, that trust, that's what makes Indiana real contenders. This is chemistry. The kind of bond that transforms a group of players into something far greater than the sum of their talent, and honestly, it's exactly why the Fever are thriving while so many other teams stumble. They believe in each other. They respect one another. They play for one another. That's the difference. Kelsey Mitchell's words about Caitlin Clark weren't just throwaway compliments. They were a statement, a clear message that she recognizes Clark's influence, embraces it, and is fully invested in what this team is building. No jealousy. No resentment. No fear of being overshadowed. Just motivation. And that's the kind of teammate every championship team needs. Now here's the real question, will the rest of the league figure it out in time? Or will they keep overlooking Indiana while the Fever stack wins? Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stick together, the WNBA could be staring down a nightmare matchup for years to come. Mitchell wasn't just praising Clark, she was pulling back the curtain on what makes the Fever the most dangerous team in the league: respect, trust, and zero ego. What do you think? Is Indiana's core truly unstoppable? Or will someone try to break it apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're riding with the Fever's rise, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more sharp takes.